Somewhere just above the Arctic Circle, 2,000 people live. They eat, they work, they laugh, but they don't get buried there. Because dying is illegal, not a metaphor, not a figure of speech. Illegal by law. Longyearbyen, technically a Norwegian town, but it's not really in Norway. It sits on the Svalbard archipelago, halfway between mainland Norway and the North Pole. 2,000 people and 3,000 polar bears. Yeah, the bears outnumber the humans. In winter, the sun disappears for 4 straight months. No daylight, no sunset, just absolute unrelenting darkness. And in summer, no night at all. The sun just circles above your head 24/7. Kids here learn how to survive the cold before they learn anything else. And anyone who steps outside town limits carries a rifle, because a polar bear doesn't ask permission. Cats, also banned, to protect the local bird population from a predator that shows zero mercy. This place has its own rules. And the strangest one of all, you cannot be buried here. The ground here doesn't thaw, ever. It's called permafrost, permanently frozen soil. A layer of ice that stretches dozens of meters beneath your feet. It doesn't soften in summer. It doesn't budge with time. And that means one thing, something simple and terrifying at the same time. Whatever you put under this ground stays there, forever. In 1950, the locals noticed something deeply unsettling. The bodies in the old cemetery hadn't decomposed. They hadn't broken down. They hadn't disappeared. They were still there, perfectly preserved, frozen in time, as if they'd been buried yesterday. In 1998, scientists arrived. They dug. They tested. They took samples from the bodies of miners who'd been buried 80 years earlier. And what they found, no one was ready for. Traces of the 1918 Spanish flu virus, still preserved in the tissue. The same virus that killed between 50 and 100 million people. The same virus that wiped out up to 5% of the world's population. It had been sitting there, under the ice, preserved with a precision no laboratory freezer on Earth could match. The scientists finally understood what the town had known for decades. This ground doesn't accept death, because it never forgets. So what happens if death comes knocking here? If you're terminally ill, you get put on a plane and flown to mainland Norway, to die there, to be buried there. Not because anyone hates you, but because this ground rejects what it can't finish. And what if someone dies suddenly before they can be flown out? The body gets shipped to the mainland. The only way to stay in Longyearbyen after death is cremation. Only ashes are allowed to be buried. Death here is a bureaucratic nightmare. And here's the part that really gets you. Birth isn't welcome either. There's no maternity ward in the hospital. Pregnant women have to leave weeks before their due date to deliver on the mainland. Longyearbyen, the town that won't let you arrive and won't let you leave. But here's what's really scary. The permafrost is melting. Not might melt someday. It's melting. Right now. Slowly. But steadily. Climate change is warming the Arctic faster than anywhere else on Earth. And every degree the temperature rises, that frozen layer inches a little closer to the surface. And buried under that ice, it's not just the Spanish flu. Scientists in Siberia have found viruses and bacteria tens of thousands of years old. Organisms that have never encountered humans before. And we've never encountered them either. Longyearbyen didn't ban death because it's clinging to some fantasy. It banned death because it knows what's sleeping underneath, and it knows it doesn't want to wake it up. Humans have always written laws to organize life, but here, they wrote a law to fight what comes after it. Longyearbyen doesn't ban death itself. It bans the aftermath. It bans what death leaves behind. It bans what refuses to end. And maybe that's the real lesson. The most dangerous thing about death isn't that it takes. It's that sometimes it stays.